Well, and tonight we have breaking news. Breaking news. We have news that the U.S. has moved against Iran in support of Israel. And President Trump has, well, let me clarify that. President Trump said that this was in the U.S. interest, and he talked about 40 years, and they can't have a nuclear weapon, things like that. So obviously the Israel-Iran situation is going on. And now the U.S. has gotten involved directly. We have been doing things for support, in terms of, and obviously there's the funding and stuff like that from the U.S. to Israel. But in terms of defensively, we've been involved defensively. But tonight we got involved offensively. President Trump has just given a message. We're going to play some of that on C-SPAN. I just watched it. A short message. He was with him, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and Vice President J.D. Vance were all there. He was the only one, President Trump, to take to the microphone and send a message. Tomorrow, he says that Secretary Hegseth is going to have a message. We're going to see what's going to happen. Now, he's calling for peace. A lot going on. Let's get right into the headlines right here. A lot of people are talking on X. Bill Ackman said some stuff. Sean McGuire's, Keith Verboy. There's a lot of people that are weighing in on this. Charlie Kirk, Representative Anna Polina Luna. Lots of people are weighing in on this. So let's get to that. Let's immediately go to the headlines here. Fox News, and then we'll get right to President Trump's statement. Fox News here. Trump says key Iranian nuclear sites completely and totally obliterated after U.S. strikes. They dropped bunker buster bombs. Trey Yanks has talked about this. I mean, there's just a lot going on right now. My wife's in here and is giving me some food, which I definitely appreciate. Definitely, and can't get to that right now. So there's a lot happening at this moment, and we can see this. And so, we have the B-2 here they're able to, heavy bombers, so able to do that kind of payload, stealth. There's a lot happening right there. And they talk about, how they did it, 3,000 pound ordinances and things like that, the GBU 57, and et cetera. Now, I want to go to President Trump's actual statement. And we're going to get into X. I'm going to have some of my comments. I've been posting I've had a lot of comments out there. I was hoping we're going to see a diplomatic solution. I kind of felt like this was going to happen. I had a long 2.5 hour show, maybe Thursday or something like that. I wasn't able to do another one. I've had work and family stuff. But just listening to, different people out there, some people that I seem to know some things, General McGregor, some reporting, some different sourcing. Obviously you have the aircraft that were moved and stuff, and just seeing what Trump was doing, then Trump moving, going back early from the G7, just different things that were lining up and say, yeah, it seems like something's going to happen here. I don't have any particular sourcing or anything like that, but just that was my own, read on it and intuition, and it turns out to be, in this case, correct. Now, in my opinion. Now, let's show here. This is from C-SPAN, public information. Also, the White House put this on their feed as well, but I'll use the C-SPAN one. We'll show a little bit of this right here, and this is Trump about to take to the microphone here as we go. Public domain again from C-SPAN. Here we go.
Thank you very much. A short time ago, the U.S. military carried out massive precision strikes on the three key nuclear facilities in the Iranian regime: Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. Everybody heard those names for years as they built this horribly destructive enterprise. Our objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the nuclear threat posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. Tonight.
So here, Trump's talking about, look, this has been going on for 40 years. And this is it seems like it's limited here to the nuclear capacity. And Trump has said before that he can't, we're not going to let Iran have nuclear capacity, nuclear weapon capacity. He's criticized the deal that President Obama did. He criticized the money that they gave them. Then you had the Biden administration with the green energy policies and reducing the supply of oil, in my opinion, here. That also raised energy prices. And there's been, whether it's Israel or other allies, there's been a lot of critiques. Even France, not even France, but I mean, France has also critiqued Israel's nuclear, excuse me, Iran's has stated that they do not want to see Iran get nuclear weapons. I believe that's President Macron. And I do apologize. I am live. If I make any mistakes, I do apologize ahead of time, and then I reserve the right to revise, extend, delete, etc. And I think we've had a time here. We've had some time where President Trump has been able to go out there and talk to other world leaders, put some things together. I have no doubt that President Trump has talked to other world leaders, whether it was Russia or other people, and really be able to get some other input in here. And I think that was the benefit of having a little bit of a pause. You had, some people, and there's been different, and look, there's been different things said online. We're going to get to that, of people sort of going back and forth and kind of dunking on each other and punking people out. And some people that are, more pro-intervention and sort of dunking on Tucker. I'm going to talk a little bit about that, and some other people, the woke right and panicins and all. There's all this different type of stuff. But really, I think this came down to what was possible. What did President Trump want? He's the decider in chief, and others have said that the level of security and the level of secrecy of this decision making was very, very tight and unseen, that they've seen that. And I appreciate that. What was in the U.S. interest? What was in our allies' interest? But, and just putting everything together, what the risks, rewards, and limited stuff in here. So we're going to continue with President Trump. And I think it's going to say that, this was a limited situation. Now let's see if we can get peace and go from there. So let's continue here with President Trump. There's a lot more to say, a lot more show here. We're going to get to that. I'm not going to go too long, but there's some things that we need to talk about here. So let's continue.
I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier. For 40 years, Iran has been saying death to America, death to Israel. They have been killing our people, blowing off their arms, blowing off their legs with roadside bombs. That was their specialty. We lost over 1,000 people, and hundreds of thousands throughout the Middle East and around the world have died as a direct result of their hate.
So let's talk about that for a second. So Trump is basically saying, listen, this is limited. We want peace now. We went after the nuclear facility. We've neutralized those. This mission and the bunker busters and stuff was definitely sort of a one where it was, going to be the most challenging. The rest isn't challenging. I've seen other reports where saying that, that there is basically that, that Iran's air defenses have been degraded. Okay. And now, whether it was the Iraq war, Iran and Iraq sort of fought a war, and they were kind of two powers that kind of had a bit of a stalemate, right? And in my opinion, and once the U.S. went and defeated Saddam Hussein and with the Battle of Iraq and stuff like that, then that left Iran there as a significant regional power, and to some degree definitely not checked in the way they were before when Iraq was there at the power level it was before the Iraq war. Okay. And then Israel and others have talked about, hey, Iran's funds and Hezbollah, the Houthis, Hamas, these are proxies for Iran. And, and when we were in the Iraq war as well, J.D. Vance actually, I believe, served in the Iraq war. You would have the IEDs, and you would have ordinances and different, whether weaponry and stuff like that were put in from Iran. And so this has been an ongoing problem, as President Trump says, this has been going on for 40 years. So this is definitely something that has been there. Definitely not an easy choice or situation. Obviously, the conflict between Israel and Iran has been very significant, very for sure, and there's been definitely a lot of a lot of consequences on both sides. Quite frankly, but at the same time, like, Israel has been very successful in, again, degrading the air defenses, taking out command and control, being able to be successful in what they're being able to do. And now we have the U.S. being able to degrade the nuclear facilities. So we say. I mean, this is the statement right here. I have to take it. I mean, I am not a military expert. I'm not a foreign policy expert. I'll say that up front. I have no access to intel or anything like that. This is my president talking about it, and I absolutely take it at face value. And why wouldn't I, right? So, but I want to put that caveat out there. And I say that as a somewhat cautionary tone in that, and we'll just get to the Twitter stuff here. And I'm not here to dunk on anyone, right? I mean, we're all Americans, well, viewers around the world, and we appreciate you as well. But I mean, the people here in America are Americans. And so I think there's been a little bit too much personalities, a little bit too much, conflict and back and forth there. But I also think that, we have to be cautious to not be too overly optimistic. And some people were criticizing Trump like, hey, it's not 1992, it's not 2001, it's not the 1950s, right? There are limits to what air power can do, limits to what naval power can do, limits to what the USA can do now. It is a different zone, different situation now. At the same time, America does have by far the largest air force out there and is definitely a superpower. But all I'm trying to say is, this is like hours after the situation, right? I mean, we will see what happens. I mean, what's going to happen tomorrow, the next day, and the next day, and the next day. I don't have a crystal ball, and neither does anyone else that's on Twitter. You know what I'm saying? So you give it your best guess, and with the caveats that I said. Okay, let's continue here with President Trump.
In particular, so many were killed by their general, Qasem Soleimani. I decided a long time ago that I would not let this happen. It will not continue.
Let me just freeze this here. You can see JD Vance very seriously. You look at Rubio. Rubio's kind of like, I don't know, almost expressionless there. Pete is thinking stuff. I mean, I wonder what these dudes are thinking right now. That's kind of interesting right here. But I do like a lot the assembling the team, right? Putting the team together. I think that's the right thing to do. If nothing else, beyond the photo op, it shows that they are talking, that they're right there. I do like that united front, if you will, and having the team there. I think that's a good move.
I want to thank and congratulate Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu. We worked as a team like perhaps no team has ever worked before.
I'm going to stop right there. So, and I'll reiterate this. So I have a lot of family in Israel. My wife's from Israel. She's Israeli and an American citizen now. So she has dual citizenship. Half my family, roughly, on my mother-in-law's side, who's passed away, unfortunately, rest in peace, mom, is I believe is Jewish, and a little more than half is Aramaic Christian from Nazareth. And so I don't want to get into all that again. If you've heard it, you've heard it before. The point being is, I speak for no one else in my family, not even my wife, just for me. Okay. And just like and I know, like, I've been there. I know like this, but you know what I mean? I know a lot more than a lot of Americans who have not been there, but I mean, but anyway, I speak for no one else but me. I've always been I've been a long time Bibi supporter. I've interviewed Danny Danon. I've been a Likud supporter, whatever, from American perspective, obviously, you know what I mean? But I've had some, I've had some caution, I've had some caution, if you will. I've had some I don't know what the right word. I don't want to mischaracterize this. I've had some reasons for caution recently, and some questions about some different things. Obviously, Gaza and more settlements in the West Bank, and all of this, all of the things that a lot of people have talked about that we won't deal with here because because I want to keep this a little bit short. I have spoken with at 2.5 hours, at great length, 2 days ago, and with a lot of posts as well. And like anywhere else, right? I mean, and this is the thing that I get from even, some of the really strong supporters of Israel is like, some take, and again, well, let me stop. Let me reframe this. I don't think it's fair to take the position that someone can't criticize or have questions or whatever, another country or the politics or the politicians of another country, just like other, Canadians might have questions about Donald Trump or whatever, or Israelis or, people from Great Britain or, UK, doesn't matter. I mean, I think that's totally fair game. There's disagreements that Bibi just won, and the party just kept the coalition together, barely, with the vote of a no confidence vote not that long ago. there's internal politics and discussions and disagreements there, just like there is here. Just like there's people in wasn't that long a couple of days ago, people were talking, saying that Trump was a chicken, the taco, or whatever the heck that was all about. And we have, our country's about 50-50, Democrat, Republican. I mean, Trump won, but it wasn't like it was a 70-30 election. You get what I'm saying. But in the mix of all of that, and I said this on X, again, I just have a lot of respect for Netanyahu. I think he's tough. I don't know what's going on with all this stuff. I mean, the dude's been in there for a long time. I mean, politics are politics and stuff like, you know what I mean? Like, so whatever. I have no idea. But I think the dude's a tough dude. I think he's a very smart dude. I think that when it comes to tough decisions, and this is a tough decision, this is no joke. I mean, we've seen the missiles incoming from Tel Aviv. We've seen the stuff in Iran. I mean, it's no joke. Okay. I think in that situation, and Bill Ackman and others have said this, and I had a response to this, and we'll talk about that in a second, that, you need leadership like Trump, leadership like Bibi in this time, in this situation, for this level of seriousness was helpful. And a lot of people are saying, that they were happy that it's Trump in there and not Kamala Harris. I'm not here to dunk on anyone or diss anyone or be overly partisan or anything like that. Obviously, I'm conservative, almost libertarian, whatever. I'm a lifelong Republican voter, etc. So, I mean, my cards are on the table. If you know me, if you've seen any of my stuff, that's obvious. Okay. And I think that people would see the same thing with Bibi. If you look at the polls from Israel, and again, I'm just barely briefed on some of that stuff. I mean, I'm trying, I haven't had a lot of sleep. There's a lot of things going on, everything like that. People are supporting the leadership there, and I think that this is a very tough situation. So, I mean, so far, it's gone pretty well, you would think, I think, but we'll see. I mean, who knows? And again, no military expert here, right? It's not over yet. We don't have peace yet. Who knows what's going to happen and stuff. And so I think it really comes down to this. And I think someone else said this, I want to say Sean McGuire. No, it's always a constant question, right? It's not like an original thought, if you will, in my opinion, which is, okay, even for, you want peace, the Pope's called for peace, I've called for peace, others have called for peace, Trump's called for peace. But if you have a theocracy that has fomented, problems and terrorism and stuff like that, and is not being, the reports were that they weren't getting all the information. Maybe there was a little squirreliness. I didn't say that, pronounce that quite right, but I don't want to try to redo it again right here. Wasn't being super forthcoming, and maybe not adhering to the whole disclosure part of the deal, whatever. And some people say, well, Trump, I don't want to get into all of the specifics and everything, because they just can't right now and keep this within any kind of time frame. So I hope you'll give me some grace on that. But basically, where people were concerned that, hey, we don't know what level of, that they're going to rush to a nuclear weapon, or where their program was. And you had these things way in the bunkers and stuff like that. And I think that there was concern there because of what had happened before with Hamas and October 7th and the Houthis and, Hezbollah and all the rest. And I think there's others in the region. I can't speak for them, whether it's Saudi or Qatar or UAE, Dubai, and then there's people are, let alone America. They're just tired of all. Like, we just want to see peace, dude. We want to see Abraham Accords 2.0. We want to see more people, places like Dubai. We want to see peace, security, opportunity, equality for everyone, and all the rest. So the thing is, and the other thing so the point is if Iran wasn't willing to come to the table, make the deal within the 60 days as President Trump said he would do it, and I guess he had some reporting that he had some deal with Bibi, like, look, give me 60 days, let me see if I can get this done. He is the deal maker in chief. He was able to look what he did with Pakistan and India. So those that want to slam Trump and stuff like that, and I want to be real careful what I say here, and I don't want. I'm not in anyone else's heads. Well, I'll do it this way. I saw a podcast recently. Actually, it's pretty good. For people that were maybe a little bit more pro-intervention, in my opinion. I'm not going to name it. I'm not going to say who was on it because I just don't want to, I want to be kind of respectful. But basically, it was someone made a joke about President Trump and maybe that people underestimated his intellect, and it was said in such a way that it was almost, it's like one of these things where it's joked like maybe some people, and I'm not saying this person, but maybe some people like, oh, well, yeah, like maybe he's not really smart or whatever like that. And then the guest went on, like there was a laugh, there was a reaction there. There was a reaction there that it's, in my opinion, my personal opinion, I may be misreading it completely and I'm not alleging anything, may have bought into the caricature on the left. I'm not saying this person on the left, I'm not saying anything. But then the person making that statement followed up. So actually, he's really smart. And I agree with that. You don't make $1 billion. You don't go to war. You don't do all the things. You don't win twice. You don't do all the things that President Trump has done without being really smart. He is the deal maker in chief. At the same time, whether it's Deontay Wilder or Mike Tyson, whatever like that, to use a sports analogy, if you could knock everyone out with the right hand or whatever, then you think that everything, if you're a hammer and everything looks like a nail, right? I mean, so you're not going to get every deal done, even with President Trump. That's what I'm trying to say. And not everyone wants to deal. And so, look, he tried with Zelensky and Putin. He tried on the Ukraine thing. We're not there yet. How many times have we tried with the Middle East stuff? We're not there yet. And so, if Iran wasn't willing, the point is if Iran wasn't willing to deal, and the threat was real, and I'm not saying it isn't. I'm just saying I don't have the intel, and I'm not a military expert or nuclear expert. You know what I'm saying? And so, but the reports are, and people have been burned before in the public, so it's understandable. We've been burned with WMD reports with in Iraq. We've also had a situation where with Iran, where and Bibi himself, not to put you on blast, Bibi, but it's like sorry, let me revise and extend that. Not to punk you out, Bibi. But I mean, you've gone up in the UN, and then we've had the picture, and there was 2 weeks away, and this away, and again, maybe they were. I don't know. I'm just saying we've heard this before, and so the American public, who aren't the experts, who aren't the leaders of these countries, who aren't nuclear, who don't have the intel, to some extent sounds like crying wolf, kind of. I don't know, maybe, but I mean, but also you have a very war. I can do it. War weary public here, and we spend a lot of money. There's a lot of people that they've served in tours, they've lost limbs, they've been injured, they have PTSD. We spend a lot of money. We're broke here, so we can't as in the debt situation. So it has to really make sense. But if you have that intelligence now, and you're President Trump, if your allies are saying this, if the allies are in war, if Iran is acting kind of like, and they're not really giving the full disclosure here, can you take that risk? And again, France and Macron and a bunch of other leaders have said, no, we can't take that risk. Now, they weren't doing anything. I don't know, maybe behind the scenes, but we did. And sometimes you're forced into action. If someone's running at you with the knife, what do you do? And I'm not, I'm just trying to use metaphors here, right? And then the question is, preventive, self-defense versus preemptive, preventative. We can get into some wordplay, but the point is you let Iran with their history, get a nuclear weapon. And that's just a super risky situation. Do we want to be, even if we can quote unquote contain it, do we want to be in a situation with North Korea? And then we get into the drone technology and some of these other things, and the tactical and the MS. I mean, there's so many different things on this. When the weapons get asymmetrically stronger, there's more onus on having allies and peace and reasonable and peaceful leadership in countries and stuff like that. And I don't have all the answers. I'm hoping this turns out well. I mean, it's not always an easy thing to get to peace through war. You understand what I'm saying? But But I think that here we are now, right? And so I think, but that's the rationale, and it's understandable where Trump is coming from. And I think that the partnership between Bibi and Trump and their leadership, regardless of how you feel for them about them, regardless of whether you voted for them, regardless of whether and all of this stuff, I think that these were the two right people for this time, for this crisis, for this job right now. Given the alternatives, I absolutely believe that. And I think that's played out, and I hope that will play out. And as I said in my tweets, stuff like that, I said, here's my position. I want peace, I want diplomacy, but I leave it up to Trump. He's the POTUS. That's literally his job. I trust his judgment, and there we go. And so I back the dude, and all that, and let's hope it all works out. And so let's continue.
And we've gone a long way to erasing this horrible threat to Israel. I want to thank the Israeli military for the wonderful job they've done. And most importantly, I want to congratulate the great American patriots.
Let me say that. I mean, again, the Israeli military have been very effective, and you definitely have to respect that, for absolutely. So I think that's a absolutely fair statement.
Who flew those magnificent machines tonight, and all of the United States military on an operation the likes of which the world has not seen in many, many decades. Hopefully, we will no longer need their services in this capacity. I hope that's so. I also want to congratulate the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Raisin Kane, spectacular general, and all of the brilliant military minds involved in this attack. With all of that being said, this cannot continue. There will be either peace or there will be tragedy for Iran far greater than we have witnessed over the last 8 days.
So and so that's an important statement, right? Because hopefully we're going to get peace. That's where it's going to go. But at the same time, like, he's just saying right there, okay, Trump is and I'll come back to that in a second. Trump is literally saying right there that there may be ongoing war. We may not be over this. So the people that came out early, like, yeah, well, everything's going to be super peaceful, a golden age. It's like, bro, like, it's not over until it's over. Okay, we don't know what's going to happen tonight, tomorrow, the next day, whatever like that. And even Israel, as successful as they've been, I mean, I think we've seen that. We've seen that in Ukraine. It's happened a bunch of times. Again, look at Afghanistan, look at a bunch of other type of stuff like that. So that's what made this tough. It's easy to be an armchair general and stuff like that, but it's not so easy to make all these things work out and stuff like that. And so, okay, let's continue with this. But I just want to put that out there because I think that was a very important point that President Trump talked about.
Remember, there are many targets left. Tonight's was the most difficult of them all, by far, and perhaps the most lethal. But if peace does not come quickly, we will go after those other targets with precision, speed, and skill. Most of them can be taken out in a matter of minutes. There's no military in the world that could have done what we did tonight, not even close. There has never been a military that could do what took place just a little while ago.
Now, the American military is phenomenal, the best in the world, still, in my opinion. But at the same time, there's limitations to what even we can do, particularly like, again, what about the ongoing situation in Ukraine? And there's, other bases, again, what happens with just different operations around the globe where we are. But really it comes down to, there's still 92 million or whatever it is people in Iran. And so the real question is, what happens now? Will the Iranian people rise up? Will, Iran sit down for a deal? Is this going to make a deal? Military power can't make a deal. Military power can do military power. Trump, I believe, has said already, no boots on the ground. What happens now? I don't know. So, I mean, will the Iranian people want something different? Will Iran make a deal? Will they continue to do war? Will they do nothing and just stays the same? I don't know. But I mean, no matter how good the military is, all I'm trying to say is that there's still absolute limitations to that, right? The best military can't make a deal. Certainly in the capacities that we have in this situation, in my opinion. Here we go.
Tomorrow, General Kane, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, will have a press conference at 8 a.m. at the Pentagon. And I want to just thank everybody, and in particular, God. I want to just say we love you, God, and we love our great military. Protect them. God bless the Middle East. God bless Israel, and God bless America. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, that's it. I mean, I think it's a very good message, short, to the point. And I think that was good. Now, a lot's been going on Twitter. I'm sure a lot's been going on since I even did that. I posted some stuff. Let's see. And I did it pretty hastily. Hopefully I didn't say anything too silly or stupid or whatever. Let's just see what's going on, take a quick perusal and talk about it. We'll wind it down here. It's like the 30-minute mark, maybe another 10, 15 minutes max. And then that's it. I think it is what it is. We've heard it. And then we see what happens here. So let's see here. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. I really like Monica. She's cool. But I mean, I'm not even going to comment on it. But I mean, a lot of people like, it's just like Top Gun. Like, I just feel like that's just, I don't think we need all of that. Now, okay, so this is the question, Trey Yanks, right? I mean, who's been reporting over there, does this take away the leverage that Iran has? I mean, is this in a different situation now? It may be. It may be. We're going to find out. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, who was against it. Every time America is on the verge of grave, we get involved in another foreign war. There would not be bombs falling on people in Israel if Netanyahu had not dropped bombs. Okay, so, I mean, there's different sides of this debate. Now, Sean McGuire, to all Americans' enemies, the last decades has fallen for your lies, applying gullible Western lens. Okay, those are gone. See, okay, America's back. We'll see. Sean's been very vocal on this issue. Bill McGuire, excuse me, Bill Ackman has said some stuff on this, and I kind of had some responses on that. Bill Ackman's done. I like Bill Ackman. I think he's very, a smart dude. Brett Baer. Tremendous. No other military could have done this. He had it 2 days, was within 2 weeks, pointing to, okay, yeah, within 2 weeks. He did say that. That's true. So it's just, you can see a lot of stuff here. God bless our troops, American. Okay. And that's a wrap on World War III. Unfollow grifters. Of course. See, I just, and then Dave said, I mean, I'm not here to dunk on anyone, but I just feel like we don't know what's going to happen, dude. We have no idea what's going to happen. I hope that's right, dude. I mean, but I mean, I do take the point that like, you don't want to get too overheated. You don't know what I mean? Because let me put it another way. Let me see, what am I trying to say here? I think that, to me, sometimes people get too dug into their positions. Like, I said this and now I'm 100% this and I'll never change my mind. To me, like, if the facts change, my mind's going to change. You know what I'm saying? Like I go with where the facts are. Okay. I go for what see, that's just, I mean, Clay, I mean, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I think I go with where, it happens. You know what I mean? I think you don't know what's going to happen. So how am I saying this? There's a lot that came out and a lot that has evolved even with this last week. And when I see people that, in my opinion, seem to be not super flexible, I'm going to come back to this in a second, or don't evolve or don't consider other things, or then I get, it's a little, to me, it's a little questionable and stuff. And I said something here and I may have got, but I think, yeah. So I said some different things. People seem to like it. I said, thanks for your support. Let me try to go to that, I guess. I don't know everything I said. So I put something on Netanyahu who said, thanks for your message. Support Netanyahu. Let's find peace, security, and prosperity for all in the region. Let's move towards Abraham Accords 2.0. Pray for Israel, our family, and all in the Middle East, USA, and the world. Looking forward to more updates. Another fair point. Showing leadership, blah, blah, blah. And I put something here. Keith liked one of my things. That's cool. Keith Raboy, Founders Fund. Now Coastal Ventures, former PayPal, etc. He's a legend. Let me put here. Let me try to find. I'll come right back to this. I'm going to show you what I posted on Bill Ackman stuff and go to his stuff. I feel like he's one of the more, in my opinion, very pro-Israel, but very, very well. I'll say that very pro-Israel and very smart, very accomplished. Harvard MBA, Harvard undergrad, Pershing Square Capital, all that type of stuff. Just a good dude, you know what I mean? And he's strong points of view, and so do I. So do a lot of people. So that's fine. You know what I mean? Okay. So what did I say here? I got to try to find. I'm trying to reverse engineer as fast as possible what I said. Let me see here. Give me a second. There's just part of the problem is, and that's fine. Good for Ukraine. We'll see. I don't know. I mean, but Bill does kind of, I'm going to go to that. See, it's breaking news. Bill kind of goes to some of the things I was saying. This is also good for Ukraine and bad for Russia. Russia is reliant on drones and other armaments for Iran in the war in Ukraine. These deliveries are going to stop. So I don't know. I mean, I think it does highlight some of the things I've been saying, which is all this stuff is related, dude. I mean, so, Iran and China or allies, or at least have dealings or something with Iran Russia. And so that's something to consider right there. Give me 1 second right here. I'm going to try to find as quickly as possible what I was saying on that other stuff to Bill Ackman, and kind of, like I said, wind up, but you're getting a flavor of it, right? There's people with a lot of comments out there that are really saying some stuff, and Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, bless our brave service members. That's great. I like that. Speaker Mike Johnson, President Trump ended his remarks tonight giving thanks to God and humbly expressing our love for God. That's the American way. So, I think you're seeing some different things out there for sure. Now, let's see here. My replies. Let's see if I can do something quick here. I'm going to pin this up while we're doing it here. This all happened in real time, players. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Almost there. Let's tee it up. Okay. So here we go. Oh, sorry for the slow pull there. I've got a cinematic lens. All right, we're back. All right. So here's one of my play. Okay. Bill Ackman. Thank God she lost. And that's Insurrection Barbie talking about Kamala Harris. Right, that Trump, who should be impeached, who should have voted for Kamala, and I believe that's in reference to comedian Dave Smith. I think that's right. I'm remembering that right, and stuff like that. I may be wrong. Sorry, Dave. I'm not alleging anything. It's my recollection, my personal opinion recollection. So Bill, and so I went on and kind of like, this is right before I'm getting ready. So maybe I rushed it. Hopefully I didn't say anything wrong. And again, I'd take it back if I did and apologize, blah, blah, blah. But I kind of went on a longer sort of explanation here that I try to frame things and let's talk it through. And I'm like, understatement of the decade, maybe century, and yet needed to be said. So I'm not, I'm not trying to dunk on you, Bill, or anything like that, because I mean, to me, that's obvious. At the same time, people forget about it. And people forget, and they lose that perspective. And see, and here's the thing, and I said this before, and I've gotten into this with Mark Andreessen and other people that had discussions. A lot of the new people here, and I'm going to get into this here, the new MAGA Trump coalition, the Trump 47 coalition, is a big, eclectic, in some ways, new coalition. I may not be a military expert, but I am a political and media expert, okay, in my opinion. So, I can see things and explain things and hopefully add value in ways that a lot of people can't. And and I don't want to sit here and drop resume again. I mean, I'll check out my stuff, my LinkedIn, whatever, refer you some of my older stuff, whatever like that. But I mean, I've done a lot of political stuff, political science major in Berkeley. So I'm doing some of it now, but I'll stop on that. But it doesn't matter. Been in the game a long time, players. And so a lot of the people, including a lot of the tech bros, are new to the game, new to the political game, and new to the Republican side, bro, and new to MAGA. But a lot of these players voted for Obama. A lot of them voted for Obama twice, players. Some of them voted for Obama twice and Biden. You see what I'm getting at? A lot of them are part of the cancel culture, part of the woke left, a part of, we're down with COVID. A lot of them. I'm not talking about Bill. I'm not talking about any of the peeps that I talk to when I'm just talking to tech and tech bros writ large. I'm talking about a lot of people that came over to Trump, whether it was after COVID, whether it was after October 7th, whether it was after the crushing inflation, whatever it was, whatever brought you to the dance from the left, whether it was Joe Rogan and censorship and stuff, Elon Musk, whatever brought you to the dance to Trump 47, when you weren't here at Trump 45 or before. I would just urge my friends and my newfound friends a little caution with throwing around the aspersions, whether it's woke right, panic-ins, whatever we're talking about now, whether it's anti this or whatever we're talking about. And listen, there are times where maybe some of that stuff applies, and I've seen some nasty stuff out there, and I condemn all of that, and everything's got to be. I love everybody. Everyone's got to treat everybody right and correct and all that, all the rest, right? So any kind of like negative stuff or discriminatory stuff, I condemn all of that. But what I'm saying is, it's also important to have a little. Dave Rubin, how long you been over Republican side, Dave? How long you been? I mean, and I can go on down the list. And so, I would say, a little humility and perspective could go a long way. Because at a minimum, most of you, or a lot of you, in my opinion, were wrong. Seriously wrong about Obama, about the left, about a lot of stuff for a long time. For a long time, players. Let me say that again. For a long time. And or we're chickens, too scared to step up and say anything. Okay, so for those of you that were like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you guys are so scared, that we're not rushing into potential, another Middle Eastern conflict, another engagement, more money spent, potential nuclear situations, but we're not rushing in that. How many of you were scared to risk your careers? I risked my career, and I probably lost my career. I'm not sitting here crying about it. It is what it is. I made my stand, just like I'm talking about issues now that a lot of people won't talk about. I stepped up and I did it. I stepped up and we're kind of, and in fairness, a lot of these players now that I like, that I'm talking to during the campaign, they did step up. They stepped up with Elon. Keith Verboy stepped up. David Sachs stepped up. In my opinion, maybe Calicat, a little finger in the wind. I don't know. In my opinion, I don't know. I'm not alleging anything. Chamath got there. Bill Ackman got there, obviously stepped up. Elon stepped up huge. So, I mean, Ben Horowitz, Mark Andreessen during the campaign, I got to applaud you. I'm not here to dunk on you, players. I'm not here to dunk on you. I thank you. America thanks you. I thank you. The world thanks. And now I hopefully whatever, if this was your issue, or this is one of your issues, or this is important to you, or the other, or whether it's a border, whatever, we all have our different issues or a mix of issues. Maybe you're feeling like, you made the right choice. I don't know. But I would also caution a little bit and show a little bit of humility, because many of you were very, very wrong for a very, very long time. And it did a lot of damage to this country, in my opinion. I've been wrong about something. I'm going to be wrong. I probably was wrong today. I'll be wrong tomorrow. You know what I mean? But I mean, as a super genius, I'm pretty smart about a lot of things, but I'm just trying to so that's the framework that I'm going on here. And I'm trying to get some perspective. Let's read into this and we'll wind it down. Okay. And repeat it again so people know, okay, appreciation. So people have retained perspective and appreciation for real Donald Trump, MAGA, and GOP, in my opinion. Also, be clear, everyone punking out MAGA, woke, right? What even is? I don't even know what that means. I've seen different. Who knows? I don't even know. I can't even calling people names, in my opinion, punking out influencers with huge audiences that campaign for Trump, including Tucker Carlson. Let me tell you something. You may not like Tucker Carlson now. You may have your criticisms and whatever criticism or range of criticism, that's great. Tucker Carlson campaigned for Donald Trump. Tucker Carlson rallied a lot of people for Donald Trump, in my opinion. Tucker Carlson was a voice out there, the leading voice on the Republican side. It's not Ben Shapiro. It's not Dave Rubin. All these people have way, way larger audiences than I do and probably ever will. So I'm not trying to be a punk. It wasn't Steven Crowder. It wasn't Tucker Carlson was the leading voice. Now, I'm not saying the biggest podcast, the biggest platform is Joe Rogan. We know that. But it wasn't PBD. It wasn't Tucker Carlson. I said a long time ago, Tucker Carlson at least was the leading voice, the leading influential voice. It wasn't Megyn Kelly on the Republican side leading up to the election, in my opinion. And maybe you can make a case for different people, and maybe that's not totally dispositive or definitive, but let me say at a minimum, Tucker was one of a handful at the very top. And I think that's a fair assessment as a media, professional, as a media expert. I think that's a fair assessment. It's not just in views, it's in influence. It's an influence. Obviously, Elon Musk, massive influence. Massive. And Elon Musk couldn't have won without Elon Musk buying Twitter. Scott Pressler on the ground. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It was the whole team, players. Quit trying to punk out the team and break up the team. It's the whole team. Now is not the time to dunk on people. Now is not the time to divide the team. Oh, I told you so. I was right. Stop, dude. Stop. All of that. Stop. You got to stop that. Okay. There is no MAGA without Trump. But there's also no Trump 47 without MAGA and all of the influencers, Elon Musk, the ground game like Pressler and others, the full team effort. Without that, you had Kamala Harris, in my opinion. Okay. I mean, as bad as Kamala Harris was as a candidate, the switcheroo, the Biden, as bad as the performance was, all of these things, it was still way too close, players. Yeah, Trump won all 7 states, everything like that. It was still way too close, players. We have midterms coming up. You want to see the Trump agenda go? I don't. So cut the stuff, bros. That's, and broettes, whatever, men, women, whoever, everybody. That's all inclusive. I grew up a long time in California, so I talk like that. Everybody's a dude. And anyway, I call my wife dude. So I mean, she doesn't always love that, but she understands it. I may not be the military expert, but I'm for sure a political expert, and many of my calls have been right, even prescient in my opinion. Whether I'm right or wrong, it isn't super material right now. So you're all right. I don't need to get into that. So stop patting yourself on the back, John. It doesn't matter. But I mean, it matters in the extent that I kind of know what I'm talking about sometimes, but that's not really the point. Anyway, point is, I agree this was begrudgingly due to risk, and we should never, quote unquote, rush to war. I'm not saying that we did. I'm not saying anyone wants to. I'm just saying, so to speak, and find ways of peace if possible, etc. Probably the right move. But it was to be done soberly and with due diligence by real Donald Trump for USA national security interests and no one else. It's his decision. It's his decision. It's no one else's. And Netanyahu said the same thing. And that was the right thing to say. Right? And I said the same thing. I'm not the POTUS. I'm not a military expert. I don't have the intel. Here's my take. Okay, maybe I'm right. Maybe I'm wrong. But I'm trusting other Trump. That's who he elected. That's literally the job. I don't get some of the overexcited quote unquote celebrations or dunking on Tucker or woke right again, whatever that is. Not saying that's to Bill. Love Bill. He's great. Just don't want to write down. And Bill's been wrong. And I've been wrong. And Bill's moderated and reiterated and iterated and tweaked. And I've done the same. And that's what anyone who's smart that sees different things or hears a different, I didn't think about this argument, or I found out this, or the facts change, whatever. That's what you should do. The people that don't change, this is my position, I'm debate me, bro, and I'm gonna get, I don't have a lot of time for that. You know what I mean? Like, not that I'm the benchmark or the arbiter or whatever, but it just isn't, at least in terms of my time and where I'm going to focus and who I'm going to listen to. Bill's a legend, his reasonable rights amazing, and can be persuaded. We should agree on most issues. And I said, yeah, I can't do it. I'm going to go to the gym. Okay. I didn't make it to the gym, but I am doing the show. Obviously, hopefully, maybe the gym later. I don't know. It's getting late. Obviously, but Bill is great. Part of growing up is realizing you don't have all the answers. And it's important to listen to other smart people, etc. More to say, wordsmith here, but I have to run. So again, I'm rushing this. So it was probably, I'll show you this is the greatest post here. Other key concept for Dunker's quote unquote potential quote unquote pro work, were hopefully limited to a very small percentage of my feed, is Trump is, and that's, and again, that I'm not trying to cast aspersions. That's not literal. I'm not alleging any facts there. That is a euphemism for people that were arguing for the intervention, okay, on the U.S. part. Is Trump is a deal maker. Get ready for a possibility of the following soon, maybe in Trump's, because I was hearing things like, it's a golden age, and this ends the war, and this is going to be peace, and Trump's the best, and I love Trump, and I had seen from some of these people. From some of these people, there was a meme going out supposedly from Modern Family of we're not jumping off the USA's not jumping with their ally, jumping off and there was people that were getting, remember that was the panic, is there's people, and I'm not here to dunk on anyone. I'm just saying that, like, there's people now, when you do the weather vane thing, I'm not into the weather vane thing, and that's one of my criticisms of Calacanis and stuff. And again, someone way more successful and famous than I probably ever will be, and I'm not trying to be a punk, but it doesn't matter if I'm broke, it doesn't matter if I was homeless on the street, I can still have my opinion, and I still know a lot of things. You understand? But I'm saying, like, there may be other things coming that we'll see if you have that, if you keep that same energy of enthusiasm and love for Trump and MAG and stuff like that. Deal in Ukraine to end the war ASAP. So again, you had Bill Ackman. Oh, we can get, he said he had a comment on that. But what if the war winds down? What if maybe behind the scenes, Trump did a deal with Putin? I don't know. I have no idea. And as we can see with how this actually went down, a lot of people don't know. Okay, there's operational security here. What about a deal in Gaza and West Bank with Israel withdrawing? I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm not arguing for anything. I'm just saying, what if that happens? Will these same people be excited? I don't know. Maybe they will. Maybe they won't. I don't know. Just headline idea. Way too complicated. Again, super duper complicated. I'm not about to get into that subject here. I've talked about some things otherwise. Other places, and Trump has talked about other things other way. And we want to see, and the Pope, and people want to see peace. Abraham Accords 2.0 and peace, prosperity, opportunity, equality for everyone, etc. Trump likes big comprehensive deals and get back to business. Bill and I both went over potential for all the above. I talked about that on my show. Bill talked about that in a post, and I talked about that in Bill's post and my video. Again, Trump's call, and we'll see. I'll refer everyone to those previous comments, probably be live. Okay, so there you go. So yeah, so I think that's where I'm coming from. I mean, it's a big night. Breaking news. We're going to see what happens. I pray for, the people of Israel, Iran, our U.S. soldiers, U.S. military, Trump, all of it. We'll see what happens here. We can hope for the best. Let's hope that we have a deal. Let's hope that that we get a deal ASAP, and we'll go from there. But that's pretty much what I have tonight. Again, I don't want to get into the personality. You're going to see different things there online on X, and hopefully I've done a decent job here. But this is absolutely breaking news. I think that Trump and Bibi have played it really well. If you were, I'll put it this, I'll end with this. You can debate whether or not Israel should have started this engagement with Iran. You can debate whether or not the U.S. should have done this. But I think it's hard to make an argument. Well, let me pose it in the positive. I think that if given Israel going with this action and given America doing what they did, it's hard to find, given the current candidates, two stronger leaders, two better leaders of Bibi Netanyahu and President Donald Trump in this time and this place, to have been in those seats of command, to lead their countries respectively and as allies. And I think they've done an amazing job given the situation up to this point. And I just think that that's a reasonable, realistic assessment of it. So I support them both. I wish the American military well, the IDF well, the people of Israel well, the people of Iran well, the region well. Let's hope that we can get to peace ASAP, and let's hope that we can get solutions in Gaza, the West Bank, Syria, Lebanon, all of it. Ukraine, of course, Russia, everything. And let's get to peace as fast as possible. And let's pray for everyone out there. That's what I've got tonight. I'm not going to solve it all. I hope I didn't say anything wrong, and I apologize if I did. Peace, love, opportunity, freedom, equality for everyone. Love all you guys. Appreciate your time. And I will see you soon. My name is John D. Villarreal. Have a great evening.